We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Gemara Meseches Gitin. This is Gittin Daf 68b. The Gemara is continuing the story of Benayahu ben Yehoyada, who's bringing Ashmedai, the king of the demons, to Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech needs Ashmedai because Ashmedai is going to help him find the creature, the Shamir, and the Shamir is going to be used to cut the stones of the Beis HaMikdash. And as Benayahu ben Yehoyada is bringing Ashmedai, he knocks into a house and knocks it over, and he knocks over a palm tree, and then he's coming close to a shack of a widow, and the widow comes out, and she pleads with him not to knock over her shack. So he bends in order to get out of the way from it. Itvar begarman, he breaks his bone. Amar, and he says, Hainu dichsiv, that's what's written in the pasuk. This is a pasuk in Mishlei. The pasuk says, V'loshan raka tishbar garim. It says that the soft-spoken pleading of this widow, that soft tongue, that causes the breaking of the bone. And the Gemara continues, Chazva samya dehava katoy ba'orcha. So Ashmedai saw a blind person who was going off the road. Aske l'orcha, he brought him back on the road. Chazaravya dehava katoy ba'orcha. He saw an intoxicated individual who was going off the road. Aske l'orcha, he brought him back on the road. Chazach edvasa dehava kamechadilo. He saw there was a wedding celebration. Bach, and he started crying. Shamei lehu gavra dehave ka'amar l'ushchefa. He heard a certain individual saying to a shoemaker, Avidli misani l'shev shni, make me shoes for 7 years. Achech, when he heard that, he laughed. Chazahu kisma dehave kasim. He saw a sorcerer who was doing sorcery. Achech, and when he saw that, he laughed. Kimata lahasam, when he reached over there, meaning when he reached the palace of Shlomo HaMelech, lo ailua legabe de Shlomo atulasa yomi. They didn't bring him to Shlomo HaMelech for 3 days. Yom HaKamah, the first day, Amar Lu, he said to them, Amaylo kaboyli malka legabe, why isn't the king summoning me to him? Amar Le, Amru Le, they said to him, Anse mishtia, he drank too much, he's intoxicated. And so Ashmedai, Shaka levinta osev achaverta, Ashmedai took a brick and he put it on top of another brick. Asu Amru Le Shlomo, they came and they told Shlomo what Ashmedai did. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Hachi Amar Lahu, this is what he's trying to tell you. Hadar ashkiyu, you should give him a little more to drink, meaning the solution, the remedy for a hangover, is to drink a little more. Lamachar, the next day, Amar Lu, he said to them, V'amaylo kaboyli malka legabe, why isn't the king summoning me to him? Amrulay, they said to him, Ansei mechle, he ate too much, and therefore he's not feeling well. Shaka levinta mechaverta, so he took the brick off the one that it was on top of. Osva Aaron, he put it onto the ground. Asu Amrulay l'Shlomo, they came and they told Shlomo what he did. Amar Lu, he said to them, Hachi Amar Lechu, this is what he's trying to tell you. Negidu mine mechle, you have to hold back from him food, meaning don't give me food. The solution to somebody who ate too much is that he shouldn't eat. L'sov telasa yomei ayel lekamei, after 3 days, he was brought before Shlomo HaMelech. Shakal kanyu mashach arboa garmidi. He took a reed that was 4 amos. V'shada kamei, and he threw it in front of Shlomo HaMelech. Amar Le, said to him, Michti, let us see. Ki ma'is hahu gavra, when that individual dies, meaning when you, Shlomo HaMelech, die, les leibhadan alma ladalad garmidi, all you're going to have in this world is 4 amos, meaning that area that you're buried, that's all that you're going to have left. Hashta kavashte l'chuli alma, now you've conquered the whole world. V'lo savat ad chvash nami l'didi, and you're not satisfied until you've conquered me as well. Amar Le said to him, Lo kabayina minach midi, I don't want anything from you. Ba'ina divnai lebeis hamikdash, I just want to build the Beis HaMikdash. V'kami boy lishmir, and I need the creature, the Shamir. Amar Le, so Ashmedai said to Shlomo HaMelech, L'didi lo masrli, to me it wasn't given, I don't have the Shamir. L'sara diyama masrli, it's actually given over to the Sar, to the ministering angel over the sea. V'lo yoev le'el tarnagola bara, and the Sar of the Yam only gives it over to the wild rooster, the mehemen le'ashvuase, because that tarnagola bara, which is known in the pasuk as the duchifas is trusted to take the oath that he's going to protect the Shamir, and he's not going to take his watch from the Shamir. Umay Ovid Bey, what does he do with the Shamir? What does this duchifas do with the Shamir? Mamti le lature de lesbu yishuv. He brings the Shamir to mountains which don't have any habitation. Umanach le ashina de tura, and he places it on the rocks of the mountain. Upakatura, and the mountain splits open. Umankit maisi bizrane meilani, and then he collects and brings seed from the trees. V'shadi hasam, he throws it into the mountain. V'havi yishuv, and that creates habitation on the mountains. V'hainu d'mitargamina nagar tura. That's why we translate the duchifas as the nagar tura, the one that cuts the mountains. He uses the Shamir to cut the mountains, and again, that duchifas is under oath not to allow the Shamir to be unprotected, to be taken away. So Badkusa, they investigated Kina Detar Nagola Bra, and they found this nest of this wild rooster, of the duchifas, the Islay Beni, and the duchifas had children in the nest. The Chafyu Lakine Zugisa Chivarte, and they covered over the nest with glass. Kiyasa boy lamail, and so when the rooster came, he wanted to go into the nest. Velo motzi azal, he wasn't able to get in because of the glass. So Aisi Shamira, so he brought this creature, the Shamir, V'osvei lave, he put it on top of the glass, and at that point in time, the servant of Shlomo HaMelech, Rama Bekola, Shadye, he threw at him a clod of earth, and that caused the Duchifas to drop the Shamir. Shakle, and the servant of Shlomo HaMelech, took the Shamir. Azal Chanak Nafshe, and then the Duchifas went and he strangled himself. Ashvuase, because he had violated his oath, he lost the Shamir. Amar le Benayo said to him, he was asking now Ashmedai about his behavior as they were walking to the palace. What's the reason that when you saw the blind person who was walking off the road, Asikte, you put him back on the road, Asikte leorche, you brought him back to the proper path? Amar le said to him, it's because they announced about him in the heavens that he's a pure tzaddik. And somebody who helps him is going to merit olam haba. That's why I helped him. And what's the reason that when you saw the intoxicated individual that was straying off the road, that you brought him back on the road? Amarle said to him, they announced about that individual in the heavens that he's a pure Rasha. The reason why I did something good for him was I wanted him to consume his reward in this world. What's the reason when you saw the wedding you cried? Amarle said to him, because that groom is going to die within 30 days. And the wife, the Kala, is going to have to wait for the Yavam, who's a minor. The brother-in-law is a minor in terms of the halach of Yivam. She's going to have to wait 13 years. And my time, what's the reason when you heard that person saying to the shoemaker to make me shoes that last 7 years? Why did you laugh? Amarle said to him, boy, that person doesn't have 7 days to live and he needs shoes for 7 years. And my time, what's the reason when you saw the sorcerer performing a sorcery that you laughed? Amarle said to him, to say, because he's actually standing, he was actually sitting right over the treasury of the king. It was right underneath him. He should do sorcery to figure out what's right beneath him. And the Gemara continues, Tarchi Gabea Debani LeBeis HaMikdash. Shlomo HaMelech kept Ashmedai by him until he built the Beis HaMikdash. Yom Echad, one day, Havakoi Lechudei, they were alone together. Amar Lei, so Shlomo HaMelech said to Ashmedai Ksiv, it's written in the Pasuk, Kesoafos Re'im Lo, Ve'aminon Kesoafos, Elu Malachei Ashares, Re'im Elu Hashedim. The Pasuk talks about Kesoafos, the horns, and we say that refers to the Malachei Ashares, and the Re'im, the wild ox, that refers to the Shedim. It's comparing the Shedim as if they are like the angels, like the Malachei Ashares. My Revusaychu Minon, what's so great about you? What's special about you that's greater than us humans? Amar Lei, so Ashmedai said to Shlomo HaMelech, Shakol Shoshilta Mina, if you take this chain off of me, V'havli is Kasach, and give me your ring, V'achvi Lach, then I'll show you, V'achvi Lach Revusay, then I'll show you what's so great about me. Shaklei L'Shoshilta Minei, he took the chain off of him, V'yav Le is Kasach, and he gave him his ring, Bole, he swallowed it, and that allowed him to grow larger. Osve L'chad Gape Birki, put one wing in the heavens, L'chad Gape Biara, he had another wing on the earth, that's how large he was. Paskei Arba Mea Parsi, and he threw Shlomo HaMelech 400 parsas. At that point in time, he deposed Shlomo HaMelech from being the king, and Ashmedai acted as an imposter. He acted as if he was Shlomo HaMelech, as if he was the king. Alahi Shaita Mar Shlomo, about that moment, Shlomo said, Ma'yisron L'Adam B'chol Amolo, Sheyamol Tachas HaShamesh, what does a person gain with all of the work that he does in this world? The Pasuk also says, this is my portion from all of my work. My vizeh, what was vizeh? What was remaining with Shlomo HaMelech after he was deposed? Rav Shmuel, that's a machlokus between Rav and Shmuel. Chadam or Makolo, the Chadam or Gunda. One says it refers to his staff, and the other one says it refers to his cloak. Shlomo HaMelech was knocking on the doors, he was begging, everywhere where he went. Amar, he said, Ani Kohelas, Hayisi Melech al Yisrael, B'Yerushalayim, I am Kohelas, I was king over Yisrael and Yerushalayim. Kimot Agabe Sanhedrin, when he reached the Sanhedrin, Amru Rabbanan, the Rabbanan said, Michti, let us see, Shota B'chada Milsalo Sarach, a Shota doesn't dwell on one thing. Usually someone who's insane will say multiple different things, but this individual over here keeps saying the same thing, that he is Koheles, that he's the king of Israel. My high, what's going on? Amru leila v'nayahu, so they said to Benayahu, Kaboy lach malka gabe, has the king summoned you at all? Amar lahu, he said to them, Lo, no, he hasn't summoned me. Shalchu lul malka vasa, kaasi malka lagabaychu, they sent a message to the queens, has the king come to you at all? Shalchu lahu in, they sent a message, yes, he has come. Kaasi, yes, he's come to us. Shalchulu, they sent to them, Bidku Bekare, check his feet, see if he has the feet of a human. Shalchulu, they sent back to them, Bemuki Kaasi, he comes wearing socks, we can't tell whether his feet are human or not. V'katavalu b'nidusayu, but they also said, he asks us to have relations when we're in Nida. V'katavalu nami l'Basheva. Ima, he also requests his mother Basheva to have relations with her. In other words, it's strange behavior, it doesn't seem to be Shlomo HaMelech. Asiyua l'Shlomo v'havu l'Yizkasa, so they realized this was an impostor, and they brought Shlomo HaMelech, and they gave him the ring, v'shushilt, and they gave him the chain, t'chakgal le'Hashem, which upon it was carved the name of Hashem. Ki Yayil, and when he entered, Chazia Ashmed, I saw Shlomo HaMelech, Parach, and he fled. Nevertheless, still Shlomo HaMelech was afraid of Ashmedai. V'hainu tichsiv. That's what's written in the pasuk. Hinei mitaso shel Shlomo shishim giborim saviv lami gibori Yisrael kulam achuzei cheref malumdei melchama yishchar val yireichu mipachad baleilos. It talks about the fact that at night Shlomo HaMelech had surrounding him many soldiers to protect him because he was afraid of what would happen in the night. And the Gemara continues, Rav Shmuel, there's a machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Chad Amar Melech v'Hedyot, one says he was a king, and then he was deposed to be a regular person, and he never got back to his original status. V'Chad Amar, and the other one says, Melech v'Hedyot v'Melech, he was a king, he was deposed to being a Hedyot, but then eventually he reassumed the throne as before. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, and the Gemara is continuing to discuss remedies to various kinds of ailments. Ladama duresha, for a headache that's caused by blood in the head. Lacey shorvina, the person should bring cypress, uvina, and willow. Vyasa dara, and fresh myrtle. Vizesa, and olive. Vichilfa, and poplar. Vichilfe diyama, and willow from the sea. Vyavla, that's a kind of a grass. Vilishulukinu bahade hadadi, he should boil all of these things together. Vilinto tlos me'akasi ahaigisa duration, he should pour 300 cups of it on one side of his head. With tlos me'akasi ahaigisa duration, 300 cups of it on the other side of his head. Vilo, and if he can't do that, lesi varda chivra, he should bring a white rose, dekoi bechad dara, which is standing in one row, meaning which is standing on its own. Vilishalke, and he should boil that. Vilintol shisin kasi ahaigisa duresha, vishisin kasi ahaigisa duresha, and he should pour 60 cups on one side of his head and 60 cups on the other side of his head. Let's say the person has a migraine headache, lesi tarnagola bara, he should bring a wild rooster, velishchate bezuza chivra, and he should shecht it with a silver zuz, ahu gisa dekayevle, and he should shecht it over that side of the head which is bothering him, meaning to say allow the blood to drop on that side of the head. V'nizdar midame, but he should be careful about the blood, the lo lisminu le'ene, that it shouldn't blind him, so when the blood is dripping on his head he has to be careful. V'lesalia b'seifa debava, then he should hang it by the doorpost, that way when he enters he'll rub against it, and when he exits he'll rub against it. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Tes Amud Aleph.